So there was this post on the Gwent subreddit, which was a really weird post. It was somebody who is hard stuck at rank 24. Now, normally, if you're hard stuck at rank 24, it's a mix of bad cards, because you're new to the game, and bad play. There's obvious errors you're making. As you play more games, you'll figure them out and do better over time. But here's the deal. This person had copied a deck from a very well-known streamer. And this streamer would get top 500 in the previous season. The deck was still very powerful despite nerfs. And it was very, very, very capable of going well past rank 24, getting probably all the way to pro rank if a pilot was skillful with it. So something was wrong with this player's play. And they basically said, I have this deck and I'm hard stuck in rank 24. Help. There's no other context. There were some little mentions of how they played in the comments below, but the post itself had no context. And I got really curious by this. Because how do you help someone play Gwent well and fix their errors without knowing what they're doing wrong? Thus, I spent some time thinking about it for a few hours and came up with an answer to this question. And what I did is what I'm going to show you here today is explain how to play Gwent well without knowing why. I'm going to teach somebody how to play Gwent at a high level without knowing why they should play this way. The goal being, copy what I tell you to do, and then when you start winning, you'll start slowly seeing why. So this post is for anybody who wants to play Gwent, this Gwent 101. So for people who want to play Gwent, maybe with friends who have played longer than them, catch up quickly and might not know why. So let's start off with what I basically wrote. I listed rules you had to follow. So the first rule, round 1, how to play. We'll ditch the numbering system. How to play round 1. You aren't allowed to play more than 2 golds, ideally 1 or 0. I also had, when posting this on the subreddit, banned any golds of more than 8 provision. But since I don't know in the future if 8 provision is going to be a lot or a little as DDPR adjusts the game, let's just keep it at this. You aren't allowed to play more than 2 golds, and ideally you're going to play 1 or 0. None. If you can play no golds in the round 1, it means you have more golds round 2 and 3. Cool. Your goal, if you are red coin, you want to pass at 5 cards. If you are blue coin, you want to pass at 5 cards while being ahead on points. Break it down. There's a whole video on this called the Rule of 5, also part of my Gwent 101 series, but I'm not going to explain it. What I do want to touch on is here on red coin, when you have 5 cards in your hand, your opponent will have 4 pass. When you are blue coin, you want to get them to 5 cards in hand. Your opponent will also have 5. Instead of playing a card, you want to pass because you're ahead on points. If at this point you're not ahead on points, start playing cards until you're ahead on points and then pass. Simple as that. And also, if you have to play past 5 cards, you may have to potentially break this rule here. Try not to, though. More golds you play now, the worse round 1 is going for you, generally speaking. Again, a lot of caveats there, but again, I'm trying to cheat you to playing high-level Gwent. I'm not trying to teach you when to play golds or not play golds of a very specific deck. So let's go ahead and talk about round 2. One of 2 things have happened. You have passed round 1, or your opponent passed. Even though you're planning on passing on 5, your opponent might pass on 6. Opponent might pass on 7. So if your opponent passed, let's go ahead and do there. Beautiful. If opponent passed, pass round 2. You're in control. As long as you don't play past 7 cards, you can technically play a card, but that's more advanced, and there's a whole video on that. So skip that. Skip diving in here. Go watch that video. Instead, just pass. Just pass. Pass round 2. Pass round 2. Sweet. If your opponent won round 1, aka you passed round 1, play only bronze cards until Your opponent plays a card past 7 cards. So if your opponent starts playing out in round 2 and they play their 7th card in hand and going down to 6, at this moment, you should have 8 in most cases in your hand at this point. You are allowed to crush them here. Play a card that'll get you ahead on points and stay ahead on points, and you'll win the game. Because you'll stay ahead on points the whole way through, card for card. You'll end up with card advantage here. Another video on that. I'm gonna stop saying there's another video on that. If you hearing these things and you're like, I don't understand, just go look at the playlist. I'm not gonna dive into that. All the stuff is covered in other videos. Basically, if your opponent plays a card past 7 cards, you are my permission to crush them. Play more bronze oriented. Just play enough good golds to stay ahead on points. Just don't fall behind. Win the round. Sweet. Alternatively, if your opponent passes in round 2, opponent passes. All right, let me caveat here. In round 1. Opponent passes immediately in round 2. Play your worst bronze, ideally bronze card. Then pass. Cool. They'll get last say. You go on to another round. No big deal. Opponent passes round 2. You play a card. Pass. Great. You won round 2. Round 3. Crush their soul. Play smart. Don't play in the removal. Don't get too tall if you can avoid it. But just crush them. There's no 4th, 5th round. Nothing cares. Go all in. Slug them the best you can. And that's it. It turns out this whole outline for the Reddit post that started it worked really well. The person came back later and kept saying, hey, I followed your outline and I started winning games. Thus, I thought it'd be a cool video. If you want to play Gwent at a high level, you feel stuck, maybe you're in the lower ranks, maybe you're in the 20s, maybe you're below 15, and you don't know what to do, follow this outline and it can fix up most of your play. And then from there, start trying to figure out why this is working, or just watch my other Gwent 101 videos and you'll be fine. That's that. That's all I got. That's all I got. It's a simple little thing. What can I say? If you like what you see, that's great. You already know the drill. I love all of you, and I'll see you soon. Shout out to Ahmed Ali and McRandar for all their generous support on Patreon.